Hey guys, welcome back to Semper Fi Mechanic. My name's Thomas, and today's video, we got a little story for you. And this story's about the mistake I made letting my little badass kids try to help me fix a car. Because in under 10 minutes, the result was me paying $1,000 to the car owner. So before you let your little bastard ass kids help you, you might want to watch this. Hey guys, what's up? How you feeling today? You feeling good mentally? Feeling good physically? Good, that's good to hear. If you're not, I want you to watch this video because I bet I make you laugh. Because my life is a fucking circus. And the story I'm about to tell you almost happened again today. That's what reminded me of this. My son's 13 now. He was 9 when this actually happened. So it's been a few years ago. But it is a funny story and I completely forgot about it. So like I always say, let's set the scene and rewind back a few years ago. So what happens is I get a call from a guy saying he has a 98 or 97 BMW. I forget the model. I just remember the color was blue. He said he couldn't get it to start. He had a free tow, so he's going to have it towed to my house. I was like, all right. You know, I do that sometimes. Not all the time do I go out to him. Sometimes they'll bring the cars here. Usually it's for a bigger job, but whatever. So I let him bring it here. He drops it off. Everything's good to go. Told him I'd diagnose it and get back with him. Another important piece to this is my son. I have a daughter that's 6 years old and my son is 13, right? My son is from my previous marriage. I'm divorced and I only get him every other weekend. This weekend I had him. Now remember, this was 3 or 4 years ago. He was only 9 at the time. Now that point will come back later. The day goes through, I'm spending time with my kids. We're at the house. I'm working on the car a little bit, going back and forth. And my son's like, hey, Daddy, can I help? And of course, my daughter's like, yeah, Daddy, let's do it. And I've always had my kids, you know, mostly my daughter, because she's here with me more, always come out, you know, she plays with the tools and she's beating on stuff. Remember, she's little. He's a little bit older. I remember I got him a riding lawnmower. It was all broke down. And he wanted to repair it and do all this kind of stuff. And the only thing he did was spray paint it. And he hung some beads on it. But hey, whatever. It's actually still in the backyard. I want to do this fatherly stuff because I didn't have a father. My dad died when I was a year old, so I grew up with no father and no male figure that was really there. My mom never tried to bring another guy in to be my dad. It just wasn't going to happen. I was the man of the house. So I don't have them memories, and I want to give them memories to my kids. I said, all right, well, help me carry some tools out. So he's carrying some of my tools out and some things out to the car to get it ready. I had 4 quarts of oil sitting there. I handed them to him. I said, hey, take these out, put them in the car. So he goes out, puts them in the car, comes back. Everything's good to go. Well, I go out there and I start doing the diagnosis, and he's underneath there helping me. Everything's good. We're having that good dad-son bonding time that, you know, I really wanted and craved. I want to be a good dad. So he's under there with me, and I showed him how I tested it. And I said, look here, pound on this a little bit, and I'm going to try to start the vehicle. He hit the starter a couple times, and I fired it right up. And that's another way to test for a starter, just shade tree way, backyard way of diagnosing a starter. It doesn't work all the time, but sometimes you can hit the starter and get one more start out of it. And if it does start, then you know the starter's bad. So shit, I'm happy. I'm like, hey man, me and my son's hanging out. This is our first car we actually diagnosed all the way together, because usually he'll come out for like 10 minutes and then he's done. He's back watching anime. So I was like, I'm pretty happy about this. It was a good memory. Everything is good to go. So we get done. I go inside and I'm looking up the part. I call the guy, let him know, hey man, it's just the starter. We can do it. I said, it'll be $180 labor. The part's $250. Do you want to go ahead and do it? He says, yeah. So I go ahead and I go pick up the starter, come back, knock it out real quick. My son comes out there. He's handing me tools. I put it in. I show him everything. Once we got done, I said, go ahead and fire it up. He fires it up and it starts right up. But as soon as it does, all the smoke comes rolling out of this car. I was like, what in the hell? I literally thought the car blew up. I mean, I've never seen so much smoke in my life. And the car is running like complete shit. Because when I tapped on the starter and we got it fired up, it didn't do none of that. You know, it was only on for a couple seconds, but it didn't have all this shit going on with it. So I'm like, hey, turn it off, you know? And he cuts it off, and I'm like, I am perplexed, dude. I have no idea what's going on because all this shit is new. These are all new problems. And I'm very confused, so I popped the hood, start looking around. Now, I had no idea what was going on. So the first thing I did was check the oil. When I pulled out the dipstick, and the oil was all the way up the dipstick. I was like, what is this? And it was frothy. Like, okay, this isn't good, right? I keep looking, and the smell of the oil is something fierce. Once you smell it, you know what I'm talking about. It's bad, right? So I'm like, oh God, I got frothy oil. It's smelling bad. So I keep looking around. I check the spark plugs, and it's full of oil. Then I look under the car, and there's a huge oil leak. Now I'm looking at his spark plugs being changed, valve cover gasket being changed. He needs all the oil replaced in his vehicle. I'm like, and I don't know how much engine damage there is. There's 1,000 problems now. It just came out of nowhere. And then I look over at my son. I'm like, Bubby, this ain't how it usually goes. I said, I wonder what happened. Did we do anything different? He goes, no, Daddy. Only thing we did is I put the oil in the car like you said. And I was like, wait a minute. You put the oil in the trunk of the car. He was like, no, Daddy, you told me to put it in the car. So I took the 4 bottles you gave me and I put them in the car like you showed me. And I was like, wait a minute. You took that 4 quarts of oil? And I said, you put it in the engine of this car? He's like, yeah, Daddy, just like you told me. And I never even spilled it. I said, no. I said, put it in the car. I mean, put it in the back of the car for later. So for the ones that don't know, having too much oil in your vehicle is just as bad, or even worse, is not having any oil in your vehicle. Causes all these symptoms that we just had. That blue smoke, oil in the spark plugs, the leaking oil also causes overheating, causes engine damage. There's so much damage that happens when you have too much oil in this vehicle. This guy drops his car off to get a starter changed. My beautiful bright son takes the oil and I say, go put the oil in the car. He took that literally and he put 4 quarts of oil in this vehicle that was already topped off with oil. So now here we are looking at a huge mistake. And he's looking at me like, aren't you proud I didn't spill any oil? I'm about to cry. I'm like, I don't have the money for this. I'm going to do a full another diagnosis on this. And I said, this guy's not going to fucking pay me for the starter job. Like, this is a big deal. And he's just sitting there smiling, you know, trying not to lose my mind on him. I'm just like, son, just go in the house. Daddy's done teaching for the day. Go watch your anime. Here he is looking at me crying. He's thinking I'm proud of him. Like, oh, son, you didn't spill any oil. As I cry, you got that shit from your mom being dumb. Now you've cost me $1,000. No Christmas for you. So I had a decision to make. The decision was to go through the vehicle, find out everything that's wrong, and just fix it and not tell the owner. Or call the owner and let him know what's going on and then fix it. But I was scared to do that because if something happens later, he could blame it on me, saying it was because this issue. I've only had my business open maybe a year or two, so I'm still brand new to it. And, you know, I'm scared. I don't want to get in trouble. So I made the decision, and it was the wrong decision, but I made the decision not to tell the owner at all. And what I'm going to do is diagnose this vehicle and get it fixed. Well, I went through the whole vehicle, and it ended up costing me almost $1,000 in parts, just in parts. I ended up having to replace the valve cover gasket, so I had to replace the oil, do an oil change, had to get the spark plugs, and then the big one, I had to replace the oil pump. Here we are paying all this money. I think it was like right on $900. And I had to tell the owner that his starter didn't come in for 4 more days. So now, this was Friday. I had till Tuesday to get all this done. And then I did. So what sucked is I was so busy, I didn't even get to see my son the rest of the time. I had to do that job right there and get this car rolling. So when he came and got it Tuesday, he didn't know nothing about it. The vehicle started up nice and good. He's like, oh, it's running the best it ever has. And I'm thinking, yeah, motherfucker, I just put $1,000 into it. So I got my money for the starter, so it replaced that. But I still ended up taking a loss of, I don't know, $700-800 or whatever the difference is. All because I was trying to spend some time with my son and have him help take stuff to the car. What reminded me of it was today. We're cleaning out the back of my truck to put the new gas tank I got in there because I'm delivering that diesel fuel. We got this slip tank now that we can put in the back. It's 55 gallons. And he's taking stuff back and forth. Well, I got a case of oil and I'm like, hey, go put this in the truck. And he's like, all right. So he picks it up as he's walking away. I was like, oh shit. I said, no, in the back of the truck, in the bed of the truck. Don't put it in it. And he started laughing because he remembered exactly what I was talking about. I said, that's why you're not allowed to work on cars anymore. So the lesson that is learned is if you're going to spend quality time with your kids, you got to be very direct to tell them exactly what you want them to do and make sure it's very clear to them. If you say put something in the car, you got to make sure, tell them, oh, that's in the back seat. not in the engine of it. But anyway, if you guys like the video, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do. It's free to subscribe. Just click on it. It's wherever it's at. It's right there. I am less than 100 subscribers away from hitting 3,000. So if you like this video, if you want to support me, if you've watched any of my videos, please subscribe. And if you want to support the channel and support me, I have my Cash App and PayPal up here on the screen. You can donate through there. And what happens with the money is it goes strictly into our mobile mechanic vehicle. We need maybe about $450 left of parts to actually get it back on the road. But you do not have to. Don't feel obligated to. That's only if you can and if you want to. But if not, I still love you. And like we always say, Semper Fi, till next time.